First contact deception. High Admiral Zenaval stood motionless before the massive holographic display, her crystalline form refracting the light of 1,000 stars. The human vessel hung there in space, a dark angular shape against the backdrop of the spiral arm. It made no attempt to hide itself, no attempt at stealth. If anything, it seemed to be broadcasting its presence. "Report," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of 3 centuries of military service. "The vessel identifies itself as the THS Vigilant," her sensor officer replied. "It's heavily armed, but shields are powered down. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, using perfect Alliance standard." Zenaval's crystalline structure pulsed with concern. First contact scenarios didn't work this way. New species didn't simply appear in the heart of Alliance space, broadcasting in their language, understanding their protocols. "Show me the broadcast." The hologram shifted, displaying a simple text message repeating on a loop. "To the Galactic Alliance, we come bearing truth. Your borders are not as secure as you believe. We offer proof and protection." "Arrogant," her second-in-command muttered. "They come into our space, heavily armed, making claims about our security." Zenaval raised a crystalline appendage for silence. Something wasn't right. The ship's design was unlike anything in their database, yet it used familiar technology signatures, advanced but not alien, as if someone had taken Alliance designs and pushed them to their theoretical limits. "They're transmitting something else," the communications officer announced. "Encrypted, but the encryption is based on our own military protocols. Impossible for a first contact species to know. Unless," Zenaval said slowly, "this isn't first contact at all." The encrypted message decoded itself on their screens, revealing a star chart of Alliance space. But this wasn't their chart. This one showed hundreds of anomalies, security gaps, and blind spots in their sensor networks. Things that had taken centuries to develop, weaknesses that should have been impossible for outsiders to know. "There's more," the communications officer said, voice trembling. "They're sending tactical data, shipping route vulnerabilities, patrol timing gaps, defense station blind spots. Years of data, decades." Zenaval's crystalline form pulsed with realization. "They've been watching us. All this time, they've been watching us." A new message appeared on the main screen. "Permission to dock and discuss terms of alliance. We bring evidence of greater threats to our shared galaxy." The human ship hung there, waiting, patient, like it had all the time in the world, like it had been waiting for centuries for this moment. Zenaval made her decision. "Clear them for docking. But first, scan every millimeter of that ship. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." The scans revealed more questions than answers. The ship's hull was made of alloys that shouldn't exist, using manufacturing techniques that defied their understanding. Its weapons were elegantly integrated, not bolted on as an afterthought. This was a warship built by a civilization that had mastered the art of war through long experience. As the human vessel began its docking procedure, executing it with perfect precision, Zenaval accessed the Alliance historical database. She searched for unexplained phenomena, mysterious rescues, anonymous interventions. The patterns emerged like stars coming into focus. Trading vessels saved from pirates by phantom ships that vanish without trace. Mysterious sensor ghosts that scared off raiders. Encrypted warnings that helped prevent disasters. For centuries, someone had been helping them, protecting them, watching them. "Alert High Command," she ordered. Tell them we need to redefine our understanding of first contact. Because I don't think we're meeting a new species today. I think we're finally meeting our guardian angels." The docking clamps engaged with a solid thunk that echoed through the station. Somewhere behind those sealed doors, humans were preparing to step into the light after centuries of shadows. And Zenaval had a feeling that nothing in the Alliance would ever be the same again. The Hidden Fleet. The Alliance intelligence chamber was rarely used. Its quantum-encrypted walls, and reality-bending security measures made it uncomfortable for most species. But today, every seat was filled. Strategic Commander Ixal moved through the holographic display with practiced ease, his insectoid form casting fractal shadows through the data streams. The human vessel was just the beginning. He chittered, manipulating the display to show a galaxy-wide sensor suite. Once we knew what to look for, we found this. The chamber filled with ghostly images of ships, hundreds of them. Thousands. Each one had been hiding in plain sight, their signatures masked as background radiation or sensor artifacts. They were everywhere, near major trade routes, outside population centers, in orbit around critical facilities. How long? Someone asked from the darkness. Based on our analysis of historical data, at least 3 centuries, Ixal responded. But that's just what we can confirm. Look at this. The display shifted to show a trading vessel under attack by pirates, a familiar scenario, one that played out too often in the vastness of space. But then something changed. A shadow moved wrong. A piece of seemingly empty space bent light in an impossible way. The pirate ships exploded silently, their debris scattered across the void. The trading vessel never knew how close it had come to destruction. This footage is from 50 years ago, Ixal continued. We found thousands of similar incidents. Ships saved by mysterious interventions. Pirates and raiders who simply disappeared. We thought we were lucky. We weren't. We were being protected. High Admiral Zenaval's crystalline form pulsed with concern. Show them the Nexus incident. The display changed again, showing the Nexus space station, a vital hub for 6 major trade routes. 20 years ago, its reactor had nearly gone critical. The official report cited a last-minute systems correction that prevented catastrophe. The new analysis told a different story. Watch the quantum signature, Ixal instructed. The data streams showed something impossible. A controlled manipulation of subspace that gently nudged the reactor back from the brink. Technology far beyond Alliance capabilities. They didn't just watch us, Zenaval said quietly. They guarded us, guided us. But why? Why reveal themselves now? The chamber's main doors opened, admitting a human delegation. Their leader, who introduced himself as Ambassador Chen, moved with the fluid grace of someone used to variable gravity environments. His smile was diplomatic, but his eyes held the weight of centuries of secrets. Because the galaxy is changing, Chen said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. And you need to know the truth before it's too late. The holographic display shifted again, this time showing a star map that made several council members gasp. It wasn't just the known galaxy. It showed regions of space the Alliance had never mapped, places their sensors couldn't reach. We've maintained our hidden fleet for one purpose, Chen continued. Not to spy on you, not to gather intelligence for some future conquest, but to protect. Because 300 years ago, we found something in deep space, something that showed us what was coming. The display changed one final time, showing an object that defied description. It looked ancient, impossibly old, yet its technology was far beyond anything the Alliance had ever seen. And carved into its surface was a warning, written in a language that had taken humanity decades to decipher. They're coming, Chen said simply. They've been coming for a long time. We've fought their scouts, their advance parties, their infiltration attempts. We've kept them away from Alliance space while we prepared, while we built our strength. But now they're gathering in force, and we can't fight them alone anymore. The chamber erupted in questions, but Zenaval remained silent, her crystalline form processing this new reality. The humans hadn't revealed themselves out of choice, but out of necessity. They weren't just announcing their presence, they were asking for help. Show us everything, she commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. No more secrets, no more shadows. If we're going to face this threat together, we need to know what we're fighting. Ambassador Chen nodded, relief visible in his features. That's why we're here. Because humanity has spent centuries preparing for this moment. We've built weapons, developed technologies, created defenses. But what we really need, what we've always needed, is allies who understand what's at stake. The holographic display began to fill with new data, centuries of human observations, technological developments, strategic analyses. The true scope of humanity's hidden presence in the galaxy was finally being revealed. And with it, the terrifying truth about what lurked beyond the edges of known space, waiting to strike. Ancient Guardians. The artifact hung suspended in the quantum field of the Alliance's most secure research facility. Even after 3 centuries of study, humans still hadn't unlocked all its secrets. Now, for the first time, Alliance scientists crowded around it, their various sensory organs taking in its impossible geometry. "We found it in the ruins of an ancient battle," Ambassador Chen explained, watching as Chief Scientist Caravan's tentacles waved in fascination. A graveyard of ships from a civilization that died fighting something they couldn't defeat. The artifact was their last message to the future. Caravan's primary eyes focused on the strange symbols etched into the artifact's surface. "These patterns, they're not just writing, are they?" "No," Chen agreed. "They're quantum-encoded data, star maps, tactical information, weapons designs. But most importantly, they're a warning. Show them." At his command, the human technicians activated something within the artifact. The research chamber filled with holographic images that made several Alliance scientists retreat in fear. They showed vast swarms of biomechanical ships, each one larger than a small moon, moving through space with terrible purpose. "The precursors called them the Devourers," Chen continued. "They don't invade worlds. They consume them. Break them down into raw materials to build more of themselves. The civilization that left this warning fought them for 1,000 years, and lost." High Admiral Zenaval's crystalline form pulsed with concern. "You said you fought their scouts. Show us." The holographic display shifted, showing footage from human combat vessels. The battles were terrifying in their intensity. The Devourer scout ships were nearly impossible to damage, their hulls regenerating almost instantly. But the humans fought with a precision and fury that seemed to surprise even the ancient enemy. "How?" Caravan asked, her tentacles writhing in agitation. "How did you develop weapons capable of harming them?" "The artifact showed us the way," Chen replied. "But we had to think differently. The precursors fought a conventional war and lost. We knew we had to be smarter, more adaptable. We took their technology and reimagined it, combined it with human innovation in ways they never considered." The display showed human ships using tactics that seemed to defy physics itself. They didn't just fight in normal space. They slipped between dimensions, attacked from impossible angles, used gravity itself as a weapon. "This is why we stayed hidden," Chen continued. "We needed time to prepare, to develop our technology, to build our forces. But we also needed to understand the galaxy we were protecting, to know its peoples, its cultures, its ways of thinking. Because when the Devourers come in force, we'll need more than just weapons. We'll need unity." Zenaval moved closer to the artifact, her crystalline structure reflecting its ancient light. "You said they're gathering now. Show us." The holographic display expanded to show the very edges of known space. There, in the darkness between galaxies, something was moving. Something vast. The sensors couldn't get clear readings, but the scale of the movement was undeniable. An armada was gathering, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "We estimate we have 6 months," Chen said quietly. "Maybe less. They're coming with a force 10 times larger than what the precursors faced. We can't stop them alone. Even with everything we've built, everything we've prepared, we need the Alliance." "Need us?" Caravan's voice carried a note of disbelief. "Your technology is clearly superior. Your ships can do things we thought impossible. What could we possibly offer?" Chen smiled, but it was a serious expression. "Innovation comes in many forms. You have technologies, perspectives, ways of thinking that we never considered. The precursors lost because they fought alone. We won't make that mistake." He gestured, and the holographic display showed a new design, a hybrid vessel that combined human and Alliance technology in ways that shouldn't have been possible. "This is just the beginning," Chen continued. "We've spent centuries learning your strengths. Now it's time to combine them with ours. The Devourers expect to find a galaxy divided, easy to conquer piece by piece. Instead, they'll find us united, ready. And with your help, we might just have a chance of stopping them." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had hidden itself not out of fear or hostility, but to prepare for this moment. They'd watched, learned, and protected, all while building the foundation for a defense that would require everyone's strength to succeed. "We should have revealed ourselves sooner," Chen admitted into the silence. "But we needed to be sure. Sure of our technology, sure of our strategy, and most importantly, sure of you. Because what's coming isn't just another war. It's a fight for survival itself." The coming storm. The battle alert came sooner than anyone expected. A Devourer scout fleet had penetrated deep into Alliance space, bypassing early warning systems with terrifying ease. But this time, humanity wasn't fighting from the shadows. High Admiral Zeneval stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship, now retrofitted with human technology. Beside her, Fleet Commander Sarah Chen, Ambassador Chen's sister, monitored the tactical display with practiced calm. "They're testing us," Sarah said, her eyes tracking the enemy movements, "probing our defenses, analyzing our responses. They don't know we're ready for them." The Devourer ships were massive, their biomechanical hulls writhing with impossible geometries. They moved with a fluid grace that belied their size, spreading out in attack formations that seemed to follow some alien logic. "All ships, battle positions," Zeneval commanded. "Remember your training. Trust your human allies." The combined fleet moved into position. Alliance vessels, their crystal matrix shields now enhanced with human quantum technology, formed the defensive line. Human warships slipped between dimensions, taking up positions that existed in multiple spaces at once. It was a formation that would have been impossible just months ago. The first Devourer attack came without warning. Beams of dark energy lanced out, trying to disrupt the Alliance shields. But the new hybrid defenses held, the crystal matrices actually absorbing and redirecting the energy. "Now," Sarah ordered, "show them what we can do together." The battle that followed would be studied for generations. Human ships phased in and out of reality, striking from impossible angles, while Alliance vessels provided covering fire with weapons that combined their crystal technology with human temporal mechanics. Each species complemented the other's strengths, covering their weaknesses. But the Devourers were ancient, experienced, adaptable. They began to shift their tactics, their ships morphing into new configurations. What worked once didn't work again. They learned, evolved, improved with every exchange. "They're targeting the command ship," a sensor officer called out. A massive Devourer vessel, larger than the others, had broken through the defensive line. Its hull rippled with weapons preparing to fire. "Not today," Sarah said quietly. She pressed a sequence on her console, activating something the humans called the possibility drive. Reality itself seemed to shudder. The Alliance crew watched in amazement as their ship existed in multiple positions simultaneously, each version firing different weapons, trying different tactics. The Devourer's adaptive defenses couldn't cope with attacking something that existed in multiple potential states at once. "Impossible," Zeneval whispered, her crystalline form pulsing with awe. "No," Sarah corrected with a grim smile. "Just humans doing what we do best. Changing the rules when we don't like the game." The battle raged for hours. Both sides took losses, but the combined fleet held its ground. The Devourers, for perhaps the first time in their ancient existence, were forced to retreat. As the enemy ships vanished into the darkness of space, a cheer went up across the combined fleet. Alliance and human crews celebrated together, the barriers between their species forgotten in the joy of survival and victory. But in the command ship's tactical room, the mood was more somber. Sarah Chen pointed to the long-range sensors, showing massive energy signatures gathering at the edge of known space. "This was just the beginning," she said quietly. "They were testing our capabilities, our unity, our resolve. The real invasion force, it's bigger than anything we've ever seen." Zenaval's crystalline form pulsed with determination. "Then we'll be ready. Together. No more secrets, no more divisions. If humanity could spend centuries preparing in secret to defend us, we can certainly stand with you now." Sarah nodded, but her expression remained grave. "We have maybe 2 months before they arrive in force. We'll need every ship, every weapon, every scrap of technology and innovation we can muster. And even then, we'll find a way," Zenaval finished. "Because that's what our species do best. We adapt, we innovate, we survive." The tactical display showed the retreating devourer ships, but everyone's eyes were drawn to the gathering storm at the galaxy's edge. The real test was still to come. But for the first time in 3 centuries, humanity wasn't standing guard alone. The Alliance was with them, ready to face whatever horrors the ancient enemy would bring. Unity through adversity. The Devourer Armada darkened the edge of the galaxy like a storm front of impossible scale. Millions of biomechanical ships, each one a horror of twisted physics and alien geometries, moved as a single organism. At their center, a vessel the size of a small star pulsed with dark energy. "That's their control node," Sarah Chen explained to the assembled fleet commanders. "The precursor records called it a nexus. It coordinates their entire swarm. Without it, they become disorganized, vulnerable." High Admiral Zenaval finished. Her crystalline form had been modified with human quantum technology, allowing her to process battlefield data at unprecedented speeds. But reaching it, the tactical display showed the layers of defenses protecting the nexus. Breaking through would cost millions of lives, even with their combined technologies. The gathered commanders, human and Alliance alike, fell silent as they contemplated the sacrifice required. Unless a new voice spoke up. Caravan, the Alliance's chief scientist, moved forward, her tentacles writhing with excitement. "Unless we use what makes us different from the precursors." They fought the Devourers head-on, force against force. "But we have something they didn't." She gestured, and the tactical display shifted to show a new weapon design. It combined Alliance crystal matrix technology with human dimensional physics in ways that should have been impossible. The commanders leaned forward, their various sensory organs widening as they understood the implications. "We call it the possibility cascade," Caravan explained. "The crystals store and amplify human quantum manipulation technology. When triggered, it doesn't just attack in our reality. It attacks in all possible realities simultaneously. And since the Devourers exist partially in multiple dimensions," Sarah continued, catching on, "they'll be vulnerable in all of them. But the power requirements will burn out every crystal matrix drive in the fleet after a single use," Zenaval said quietly. "A one-shot weapon. We'd have to get everything exactly right." The chamber erupted in debate. It was an insane plan, requiring perfect coordination between human and Alliance ships. The timing would have to be precise to the microsecond. The slightest error would mean total failure and certain death. "Just the sort of impossible thing humans excel at," Sarah said with a grim smile. "And now you do too." The next 12 hours were a blur of preparation. Every ship in the combined fleet was modified. Crystal matrix drives linked together in a network that would channel enough power to tear reality itself. Human quantum technicians worked alongside Alliance crystal engineers, making adjustments that crossed the boundaries of known physics. When the Devourer Armada finally attacked, it was like watching a force of nature. Their weapons darkened stars, their shields absorbed everything thrown at them. The front lines of the combined fleet were decimated in minutes. But they didn't need to win. They just needed to hold long enough to get into position. All ships, commence operation possibility, Sarah commanded. Across the battlefield, human vessels began phasing between dimensions, drawing the Devourer's attention. Alliance ships, their crystal matrices pulsing with gathered energy, moved into precise formations. The enemy pressed their advantage, not realizing they were being led into a trap 3 centuries in the making. Their swarms surrounded the combined fleet, weapons charging for a killing blow. Now, Zenaval ordered. Reality shuddered. Every crystal matrix drive in the fleet detonated simultaneously, creating a cascade of quantum possibilities. The human ships acted as focus points, directing the energy directly at the Devourer swarm. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself began to fracture. The Devourers existed in all possible realities at once, and in every one of them. They were being torn apart. Their biomechanical forms couldn't adapt fast enough to counter something that attacked them through the very fabric of existence. The Nexus, that massive controlling intelligence, tried to compensate. But it couldn't coordinate a swarm that existed in countless different possibilities simultaneously. One by one, then in massive waves, the Devourer ships began to break apart. When it was over, when the quantum energies finally dissipated, the combined fleet hung in space, their drives burned out but their crews alive. The Devourer armada was gone, reduced to scattered debris across 1,000 possible realities. "We did it," Sarah breathed, looking at the battlefield displays. "Together, we actually did it." "Yes," Zenaval agreed, her crystalline form pulsing with pride and exhaustion. "And now we rebuild. Together." In the months that followed, humanity fully emerged from the shadows. Their hidden shipyards and research stations were revealed, their technology freely shared with their Alliance allies. The combination of human innovation and Alliance resources led to advances that neither species could have achieved alone. The threat of the Devourers wasn't completely gone. There would always be remnants, scattered swarms that would need to be hunted down. But they were no longer an extinction-level threat. The galaxy would survive, stronger and more united than ever before. As ships from both civilizations worked together to rebuild the damaged sectors of space, Ambassador Chen stood with the Alliance Council, watching the cooperation with satisfaction. 300 years ago, humanity looked to the stars and saw a galaxy that needed protection, he said quietly. We chose to become its hidden guardians, its secret defenders, but now we found something even better. True allies, true friends. The shadows were necessary once, but the future belongs to the light. The galaxy would never be the same. But as human and Alliance ships patrolled together, as their cultures and technologies merged and grew, as ancient enemies were faced with a united front of innovation and determination, it was clear that change had been exactly what was needed. The era of secrets was over. The age of unity had begun.